Okay, howdy y'all, it's Mike down at Mike's Golf Shop where we buy golf. That's right, we buy golf clubs. Okay. I am going to play in the 2022 Azalea Amateur Palatka, Florida. And I am going to document for you how it is that I'm going to approach this to see if I can improve over last year, which was really, really rough. The roughest ever. So to recap, kind of here's what happened last year.
3 holes left. It's been pretty rough. Well, it's over. 2021 Azalea in the books. I shot 256, 88, 89, 79. I putted decent today. The first 2 days was horrible. I had 36 putts each day when I only hit 2 greens in freaking 25-mile-an-hour winds. So it was what it was. My problem this year more than anything else was just the putter and the weather. 2022 will be here soon enough, and I can see if I can beat that 231.
So you can see from last year, it was a very, very poor result. 88, 89, 79. I only hit like 1 or 2 greens in the first 36 holes. And I probably didn't hit but maybe 5 or 6 on the last round. The first 2 rounds, I putted extremely poorly. And it was just like hole after hole after hole, I was making bogey, 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 bogey. You know, I'd hit it off the tee, I'd go down there and hit it up around the green somewhere, I'd chip it on the green and miss a 10-footer for par. That's kind of how it went. And, you know, I'm a year older, which is not good. And I'm probably right now in not as good a shape as I was last year. So, man, I got a ways to go on the diet and the gym and walking and trying to get in a little bit better shape. I've got about 8 weeks to do it. And, you know, the ball striking part of it, you know, it's like I look at the things in my swing that I don't like. Number one, that my swing is getting shorter. So I want to work to lengthen my swing. And then I don't get enough body rotation through the shot. So I'm just kind of throwing my arms and hands at it. So it's like I need to get the left shoulder turning out of the way a whole lot more. So those 2 things are kind of maybe hip rotation getting in there, getting the hip to go away from the target line instead of humping the goat. So those are kind of the simple basic parts of what I think I can do to improve my ball striking a little bit. And again, I think from a course management standpoint, I'm going to have to really start scrutinizing which greens I think I can hit and home in on those bad boys and hit the greens, because, you know, that's the part of it last year that was, you know, the worst part. And granted, I putted horrible too. I mean, if you hit 1 green, you have 36 putts, you're going to have a bad round of golf. That's all there is to it. So I got to get a little bit better with the putter. And that plan is going to be going with the bullseye and really working on getting my left wrist flat, you know, and keeping my left wrist flat and putt that way. And from a ball striking standpoint, you know, I mean, to me, just on paper, it's like you got to work on the driver and the 3-wood off the tee and hit a bunch of 8 irons and 7 irons and 9 irons, get where you can hit the freaking green. So last year I shot 256, 88, 89, 79. And I documented it all. You can go back and look at from last year. I only hit like 3 greens in the first 36 holes. Now, I know the weather was bad. I mean, it was the worst weather we've ever had in that tournament. It was extremely cold and windy on day 1. It was cold and raining sideways on day 2. In day 3, the weather was still cold, like 50 degrees, which is unusual. I played down there when it was cold in the past, but nothing like this, and nothing like the rain and all that. So I would say that's the biggest part of the problem that I had. Granted, at my age, I really like playing golf when it's 82 or above temperature-wise, because my body can loosen up a little bit. But anyway, 231 is the lowest I've ever shot, and that was probably 5 years ago, something like that. So I look at it now and I'm going, okay, I shot 256 last year, and I think to myself, how can you saw off strokes from that? In round 1, by the way, if you look at my last year video, round 1 I talk about it was mistake-free golf, and that my mental game was the best it's ever been. So I never did hit the ball off the golf course, never did get in a terrible situation, but I always I missed so many greens that I would chip it up there and then miss whatever I had left. And I remember I documented a 4 or 5 inch putt, that I slammed a little too hard and popped out, and some other stuff like that. So got to really work with practice my putting this year. Last year I never practiced putting. I just feel like that's the easiest part of the game. So I'm going to have to work on the putter, and I know what I'm going to do. It's going to be a bullseye, and it's going to be a flat left wrist. And that's pretty much the extent of that. As far as the ball striking goes, the thing I'm going to work on is getting my swing a little longer, try to get the club back to parallel at least, and try to get some rotation through the shot. Excuse me. Try to get. Sorry about that. I cut my video off accidentally, but ball striking wise, I'm going to try to get my swing longer on the backswing and get more body rotation, especially shoulders and hips, through the shot. Kind of see what that does for me. I don't necessarily remember driving the ball especially bad last year. Just maybe wasn't long enough. So I gotta work at the gym and get a little bit more strength to where I can maybe get a little more speed on the club. And from a short game standpoint, it's going to work the wedge around the green. I mean, that's kind of the key to that whole golf course is, you wind up in some awkward spots, and you got to use the wedge, because it's not like, unless you miss short, you won't be hitting no bump and run in there. So that's kind of what I'm going to work on. So 2022 is here. The Azalea Amateur is here, and I'm going to get out there and give it a shot again.